Greetings once again from the wastelands of the internet. I have come to bring you news of the week, news a little bit more of the week. I've been gone, and I apologize for not being around for the last couple of weeks. There have been a few things that have been happening in real life, real time, and quite frankly, I've been a bit under the weather. I'm still not fully healed. It does make doing these a bit difficult for me, and so forth. But there's lots of news, lots of stories, lots of stories. So let's get started, shall we? Ukraine launches new offensive against the Russian forces from Newsweek. Ukraine has reportedly launched a new offensive operation against Russian forces amid the ongoing war between the two nations. On Friday, the Kiev Post reported that Ukraine's third separate assault brigade shared a post on Telegram detailing how they have executed several successful attacks against Russian forces in the Kharkiv Oblast region. The main task of the operation was to pin down the offensive potential of the 20th Army of the Russian Federation. Okay, stop right there. I'm not going to go into this story anymore. All right? That is not an offensive. An offensive is when you sit up there and send your forces to take ground and hold it to push the enemy back. This is what you call a spoiling attack. They are terrified of a real Russian offensive beginning. This is not an offensive. And this is the problem with the way we do things in the world today, is we've lost the language. People use words that don't mean anything anymore because they're not done correctly. The Battle of Kursk has unchained Ukraine from a failing war strategy. How? Oh, this ought to be really good, right? Ukraine has faced a distressing prospect of gradually losing ground to larger Russian forces, but it regained the initiative with its attack in the Russian region of Kursk. Ukraine can build on this by presenting the Russians with a dilemma they must solve, an expert said. Who's this expert? I want to know who this expert is, because this expert is this expert's he's living on a freaking pipe dream. At the start of August, Ukraine seemed doomed to remain on the defensive, slowly but relentlessly being ground into a retreat by Russian onslaughts. But the successful new Kursk offensive has done more than seize 480 square miles of Russian territory and humiliate Putin. After a year of grim decisive battles, the Kursk operation has also allowed Ukraine to seize the initiative and force Moscow to dance to the Kiev's tune. What are you talking about? This is also an attempt to relieve pressure in the area that there's already been occupied. How is this going to allow the Ukrainians the advantage in this war? It doesn't change the numbers. It does force them to spread out their attacks, all right, and create more of a defensive perimeter in the areas that they hadn't done before. It slows down their offenses. It slows down their buildup. Granted, but it also gives them an opportunity, and I mean the Russians an opportunity to do something that hasn't been seen for a while, which is capture a bunch of idiots in a pocket they created for themselves. Now, the Russian forces are not nimble enough to do that. I will admit that. That'd be very difficult for them to do because they're just not nimble enough with regards to the intelligence that they're receiving. Let me tell you right now, the Ukrainians would be gone already if the United States had not been constantly providing them with satellite intelligence and actual hard intelligence as to what the Russian forces are doing on the ground. You take that away, okay, Kiev is blind. Now, why do I point this out? I point this out because it shows a flaw in the American strategy if we ever have to go to war. Because if you think that our enemies, all right, if they go to war with us, a big war like China or Russia, if you think they're going to allow our satellites to then start providing this intelligence to us in a battlefield environment, good luck. They're going to take those things out. Now we have other capabilities. Okay, we don't just rely on satellites. That's very true. And Russia has been ignoring what we've been doing as far as satellite goes. But they've also been doing something else, which is learning where our holes are. And I don't want to understate that, and I don't think it can be understated. The idea that the Russians aren't learning from this war and learning how to harden themselves in a war is something to be concerned about. And if you think World War III would be a disaster, too much DEI, there is too much DEI, and it hasn't gone away. Anybody who believes that it's gone away is seriously making a mistake. Here's what the Russians are doing. Russia rocked by bloody prison mutiny as ISIS takes over a jail and slaughters guards. The attackers allegedly identified themselves as ISIS members and launched their mutiny in the IK-19 prison during a meeting of the Disciplinary Commission. ISIS prisoners at the Russian penal colony have staged a bloody mutiny, resulting in the deaths of several prison guards. Reports suggested several hostages had also been taken. Okay, this was the initial story. The story now, though, is the Russians have gone in there and killed them all. Battle is over. Right? Battle. Uh, uh, that prison situation no longer exists for them. What did you think the Russians were going to do? This was an attempt to see how much Russia has changed due to quote unquote Western pressure, because that's what ISIS is trying to do to see whether or not Russia is becoming unable, all right, because they becoming unwilling, all right, to risk casualties. They've got the belief. Oh! Look at what's going on in the Ukraine. Russia's suffering. So they must be scared. They must be really scared. If we bloody their noses, they'll be afraid of getting into conflict. Wrong. And they were wrong. Now, what they did do is they did free. They were able to free some of their leaders, and I'm sure there's going to be a manhunt in Chechnya for these bastards. Okay, in this case, in this situation, I'm on the side of the Russians. Okay, the Russians have, and I'm not on the side of the Russians very often, but I'm on the side of the Russians when it comes to them or the Chechens or them and the rest of the ISIS brigades, because the ISIS brigades have no respect for human life whatsoever. The Russians have a little bit, not much, but a little bit, but they have more than the Chechens do. Russia isn't like the West. They don't screw around. No, and they are a different group of people for sure. Putin has broken one of the most sacred rules of warfare, and the consequences could be dire. From the Telegraph. For decades, nuclear power plants have been protected from attacks in theaters of war. And the additional protocol to the Geneva Convention states that nuclear facilities must not become targets, even in scenarios of strategic military gain. Oh, you mean the protocols that nobody really signed on for? But for the first time in history, the taboo on attacking nuclear strikes or nuclear sites, has been broken. A lack of regard for nuclear exclusion zones by Moscow and Kiev has set a dangerous precedent. In the latest incident at the Zaporizhzhia, that's as close as I'm going to come to pronouncing that. All right, last week when Russian troops reportedly set fires beneath one of the cooling towers in response to Ukraine's incursion into its territory. They set some tires on fire? Oh, the frickin' horror! They set tires on fire underneath a cooling tower. Oh, the horror! The absolute horror! In the eyes of the law, nuclear power plants are considered critical infrastructure, jeopardizing nuclear energy security, causes blackouts, harms vital services, including hospitals, and increases reliance on environmentally harmful fossil fuels. Oh, the humanities! Do you realize that the nuclear disaster isn't the problem? It's the fact you gotta use fossil fuels in the middle of the war. Do you think that has any effect? Who wrote this stupid story? Hey, Becky! Becky Alexis Martin. Do you think anybody cares in a war situation? Are you kidding me? Are you flipping kidding me? Oh, jeez. Okay, let's take a look at a map for a second of this war zone. Okay, what you're seeing here is, all right, at the very north, right here in this little shaded blue zone. This is the area that they've taken. All right, the in the Kursk region. This is the Kursk region that they were talking about, where the Ukrainians have taken land. All right, can they hold it? No. All right. In order to actually come to terms with the Russians, what their idea was is we could scream across the border here, take a bunch of land here, and then trade it so that the Russians pull out of this area. All right. If you were wondering about where the Kharkov stuff was, it's right here. Right. And obviously, what they were doing here with this spoiling attack is it looks like the Russians were probably sending forces over here in an attempt to actually surround this. All right, is what I suspected it's going to be. All the other fighting still remains along the front lines of the Donetsk region. Right, there's been a few small spoiling type attacks over here in the Kherson theater. All right, down below, if you want to look at it, is the Crimean region. All right. This is of all the successes that the Ukrainians had, their greatest successes have been in destroying and harming the Russian Navy. That cannot be understated. Okay, the destruction of the Russian Navy, the pressure that it's put on them is significant. Okay. Is it decisive, however? No, because this is not a water war. What it does do, though, and this is from a Ukrainian a positive for the Ukrainians, is it does prevent an amphibious landing in this area, a massive amphibious landing supported by the Navy, all right, so that they could try to take this city. And this city is important, all right, in order to relieve pressure, all right, along this entire region. It also would allow for an entire bridge line to the Russian forces that are in this region over here, where this stupid thing is now occupied. There's a significant number of Russian forces over here, and it would be linked up if they could take Mirakulov. All right, are they going to be able to do it? They would have to fully take Kherson first, and I don't see that happening anytime soon. You can see just by the number of rivers here and so forth, getting into that area would be very difficult to do. It just would be very difficult. So that's the situation there. But of course, we have another thing to worry about in the world. Israeli evacuation orders cram poor Palestinians in a shrinking humanitarian zone where food is scarce. I thought they were all starving to death. Young girls screamed and elbowed each other in a crush of bodies in southern Gaza, trying to desperately reach the front of the food line. Men doled out rice and chicken as fast as they could, platefuls of nourishment falling to the ground in the tumult. Nearby, boys waited to fill plastic containers with water, standing for hours among tents packed so tightly they nearly touched. Hunger and desperation were palatable. They were palatable, folks. Friday, in the tent camp along the Deir al-Balah beachfront, after a month of successive evacuation orders that have pressed thousands of Palestinians into the area that the Israeli military calls a humanitarian zone. The zone has long been crowded by Palestinians seeking refuge from the bombardment. But the situation grows more dire by the day as waves of evacuees arrive and food and water grow scarce. Over the last month, the Israeli military had issued evacuation orders for the southern Gaza at an unprecedented pace. At least 84% of Gaza now falls within the evacuation zone, according to the UN, all right, which also estimates that 90% of Gaza's 2.1 million residents have been displaced over the course of the war. And yet, the Palestinians, who are desperate, they're desperate, still shield, still hide, still support, still encourage, still feed Hamas. Isn't it amazing that among these starving and desperate people, that terrorist thugs who think bashing the heads of the toddlers against walls is a great, grand, glorious thing, that those people still should be supported? Think about it. Why aren't they turning these Hamas sons of bitches over to the Israelis? Why aren't they kicking these sons of bitches that have caused this war, that created the war, that they all freaking voted for it because they voted for Hamas? Don't people need to understand? These are the same people that voted for Hamas to be in charge, knowing full well what Hamas was going to do. And anybody who tells me, "Oh no, they didn't know, they didn't understand," bullshit. You've got hundreds of years of history, all right, of what these people like Hamas do. Hundreds of years, and you're going to tell me that these people, oh, well, they just didn't know. La 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 la. Bullshit. Just like this stupid story. In the Middle East is on the edge, and Iran and its proxies are riled up. When haven't they been? Can you tell me when Iran and its proxies have been peaceful? When was the last time Iran and its proxies were peaceful? Just asking. U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria are taking hits. Yeah, because they're attacking us continuously. Two separate attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria last week injured over a dozen American service members at a particularly tense moment in the Middle East. The attacks, which the Defense Department, all right, has attributed to Iran-backed militias, right, came as the region remains on high alert, awaiting to see whether Tehran and its proxy forces retaliate against Israel in response to the recent killings of Hezbollah and Hamas leaders. The incidents also came amid a sharp uptick in hostilities in Iraq and Syria. U.S. ground forces had gone months without being attacked in those countries, but a mid July incident ended that period of relative calm. Since then, the violence has increased. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said on January 31st that he doesn't yet see a return to where we were several months ago. Really? What a surprise. Certainly, we keep an eye on this, and the safety and protection of our troops is really, really important to me. Then why do you have them there? The first of the recent attacks that resulted in unspecified injuries among American troops, right, occurred on August 5th when two rockets fired by an Iran-backed militia struck the Al Ask air base in Iraq. Four U.S. service members and one contractor were injured. Days later, on August 9th, a one-way attack drone launched by Iran-backed militia forces hit the Rumainian landing zone in a base in Syria. The strike injured 8 American service members. There were around 2,500 troops in Iraq and 900 in Syria to battle the Islamic State, Pentagon officials say. The terror group has been resurging following years of decreased capability. Now, how does that happen? How does that happen? Iran says it's in no hurry to attack. Well, I can tell you right now, it happens because you got people who aren't serious. It happens because these people know there won't be any really harsh retaliation from the current occupants of the White House. It was quiet. Notice how quiet it got after we wiped out Salami Boy and his little cohort of thugs in Iraq. Notice how quiet it got after that. But we haven't been doing shit except acting as pop-up targets again. We're back running around like a Meals on Wheels program, all right, trying to feed Hamas terrorists at the same time going, well, we don't want to tell Israel what to do. Here's another freaking gem of stupidity. U.S. kinetic strike takes out a senior leader of a terrorist group aligned with Al Qaeda in Syria. U.S. Central Command announced Friday that forces in Syria had successfully killed a terrorist group senior leader Abu Abdal al-Rahman al-Maki. According to CENTCOM, al-Maki was killed in a targeted kinetic strike in Syria. Do you people even understand what a kinetic strike is? The people writing this, I really wonder if they even understand what a kinetic strike is. Right? Al-Maki was a council member and senior leader with Haras Adin, which is ideologically aligned to Al Qaeda in Syria. He was responsible for overseeing terrorist operations for the group in the Middle Eastern nation. CENTCOM remains committed to the enduring defeat of the terrorists. Then why aren't you going in with B-52s and leveling the entire areas that they control? Don't worry, I'm sure Harris is on top of things. Okay. I don't think Heels is gonna be all that successful. To be honest, just putting it out there. The the stupidity of people is unbelievable. Okay, you're not gonna fix this. You're just not gonna fix this by walking in there and saying, "Well, we understand." By going in there, going, "Okay, we'll be nice to you if you're nice to us. Would you like a cookie?" Understand what the problem is in that region, folks. Germany festival stabbing, 3 dead after horrific knife rampage at a diversity event. At least 9 people have been stabbed and multiple dead at a festival in Germany. Small ubu. 3 people are reported to have died, and 9 more in fighting for life after a frenzied attack at a festival in Germany. And this report suggests 3 people were killed after being targeted in a random knife attack. They're being targeted in a random knife attack. Who wrote this? Hannah and Aurora. Uh, learn. Maybe it's just the way it came across because it was probably written in German first and then translated, but do a better job. The violence unfolded at the Festival of Diversity in Solingen, all right, a city around 25 kilometers east of Dusseldorf. The attack happened in the central square, the Fraunhof. Pictures and videos on social media show a huge police response with large parts of the city cordoned off. The DPA news agency cited unidentified sources as saying the weapon was believed to have been a knife. According to the outlet by Solinger Tagblatt, which is Daily Blair or Daily Speak, all right. One of the festival's organizers, Philip Müller, said on a stage that emergency workers were fighting for the lives of at least 9 people. Mr. Mueller said 9 people, or people, excuse me, people are shocked but left the square peacefully. The paper further reported that authorities called on people to leave downtown Solingen. The German city was celebrating its 659th anniversary of its creation with the Festival of Diversity. Approximately 80,000 people were expected to head to Solingen over the next 3 days. They still haven't caught the person. They don't know who it is. They talked to a young attendee, I guess is the best way to put it at this point, who's been said to have spoken to the murderous thug right prior to the rampage, but they still haven't caught the guy. They are looking for 8 people involved in this. Now, who would have done this at a diversity festival? There are a lot of homegrown I don't want to say this, but I don't know how else to say this. All right. Neo Nazis, all right, that were more than willing to sit up there and say, look at this crap, this social experimentation crap is out of control. We need to stop it. That's one of the groups that could have done this. It's very, very possible. It's also possible that Abdul and his friends did it. We don't know which. We don't know who they're looking for. It amazes me. There was a time period when the police and the authorities were looking for somebody. They told you who they were looking for, so that people could be on the lookout. We're looking for, Joachim Volk, for example. I'm just using a name out of nowhere. If it's a real person, I apologize. All right. Or Franz, Schuler. Who knows? That would at least tell people, okay, I know if Franz Schuler is it this guy or not? No, it's not that guy. Okay, it's not that guy. Is there another guy that looks like him? They would know. But ever since this diversity crap has taken hold, well, we can't let them know they're looking for Abdullah Muhammad Abdullah Muhammad. We don't know who they're looking for. But there was a time period when people were sent to be on the lookout for it. Now, oh no, we got to protect the freaking little criminals. You're gonna love this next story. It's too bad the Brits aren't here today. German warship blasts Darth Vader anthem in the heart of London. There's no deeper message, says the Navy. Dun, 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 dun. You gotta tell me there's no deeper message. The German Navy says there was no deeper message in the choice to blast the famed Imperial March, Darth Vader's theme song in the Star Wars film, from one of its warships as it cruised down the River Thames through London this week. A bystander captured the spectacle Monday on video, which quickly went viral on social media. The song selection made waves across Europe. The warship was in the area for training and dropped anchor in London for a normal supply stop, the German Navy said. The commander chose the music freely, the Navy said in a statement. The choice of music had no deeper meaning. Other recorded warship Other video recorded the warship, the Braunschweig, all right, playing London Calling, all right, the 1979 hit from the British rock band The Clash upon its arrival in London. The song title is drawn from the BBC's World Service Station identification in World War II, and its lyrics include the lines London calling to the zombies of death, quit holding out and draw another breath. Why did you play that? No reason. Now, do you notice that there's a German warship in London, but there isn't one? Oh, I don't know. In cruising the Black Sea. So much for our allies supporting the Ukrainians. Oh, we'll take on London. We'll take on London. Cops. Man shot father 74 over stinky foot. What the hell wrong with me? After being told by his 74-year-old father that he had stinky feet, an Iowa man, not Florida, retrieved a firearm from his bedroom and shot the elderly man in the face as he was seated in a motorized scooter. Responding to shots fired at a Sunday evening, cops encountered David Carpenter, 48, at the residence he shares with the victim in Burlington, a southeast city, Iowa City. The 6 foot, 300-pound David had called 911 and stated that he had just shot his father, William Carpenter, in the face. Williams, who survived the gunfire, told the officers that he and his son were in an argument over David's stinky feet. The dispute escalated to David grabbing his gun from his bedroom and shooting William in the face. Questioned by police, David said that he and his father were in the living room when William told him that his feet stink. During a subsequent heated argument, David claimed that his father made a comment about shooting him. All right, David said that he then got his gun, pointed it at his father's face. He claimed that he then accidentally pulled the trigger. Ah, you accidentally put a gun to your dad's head and pulled the trigger. At the time of the shooting, 2 children were in the living room watching TV. Seen above, David was arrested for attempted murder and child endangerment. No shit! He's locked up in county jail and is scheduled for an August 21st preliminary hearing and has been ordered by the judge to have no contact with the victim. Did you release him? Oh, please tell me you did not release this guy. Please tell me you did not release this guy. Oh my goodness. So who has joined me to this lovely day?
Hello.
Welcome.
It is I.
Welcome back. And how are you doing today, sir?
I'm here to gain some more brain cells from listening to a different argument.
Ah, okay. So you're all for, shooting your dad in the face with the kids on the couch watching television. Is that what you're trying to say here, Matt?
I mean, what did the dad do?
He said that the feet were stinky. Your feet stink. The guy was in a motorized scooter. What gets me is he was arrested for attempted murder and child endangerment. He was locked up in county jail and is scheduled for an August 21st preliminary hearing, and has been ordered by the judge to have no contact with the victim. That means they let him out. They let this guy out. Okay.
Yeah. Now don't do it again.
God. What is wrong with people?
You can't come within 30 feet. Well, good. I can shoot him from 100 yards. I don't need that.
I don't know, Vash. This is just something else, man. I can't understand this. I cannot understand how you let somebody like this out. I just don't get it. So that's what I was going to do. I forgot what I was going to do. I'm going to do a little sharing here. Boom. Okay. Just so you can see what's coming up.
Yeah.
All right. So that you can discuss these things ahead of time. Let me recombobulate my windows here, so that we're all back to where we were, all nice, hunky and dory. Let's get on to the next story, shall we?
Yeet.
Yeet. Is that what you said? Yeet.
Well, I mean, it's a vernacular where we took off the S on yes.
The strong man is stripping away civil liberties, and opposition disputed his election victory. Venezuela's Maduro intensifies his repression. The repression of the Venezuelan people was intensifying from the moment they sit up there and elected Chavez. All right, it's just been slowly ramping up. But they voted for it. In Caracas slums that were once strongholds of government support, security forces carrying rifles to deter protests. The Venezuelan regime is urging people to snitch on dissidents as opposition activists go into hiding or flee the country. Some 2,400 government critics are in jail on charges including terrorism and face prison terms of up to 25 years of hard labor in what authorities are calling re-education centers.
Oh, they made re-education camps. Great.
Venezuelan strongman Nicolas Maduro, who was just a couple of years ago being fed and wined and dined in one of the five-star restaurants in Miami as people were taking pictures with this thug, all right, is moving fast to crush civil society and political dissidents, all right, since he claimed victory in the July 28th election that opposition, citing evidence from polling stations, says he lost in a landslide. In the process, Maduro is removing the last vestiges of civil liberties that had distinguished Venezuela from dictatorships which it had allied itself in recent years, such as Cuba, Nicaragua, and Russia. The evil Russians. He resorted to just accusing everyone of being a fascist and locking them up. Ding, 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 ding. Sound familiar? Who else is running around screaming that anybody disagrees with them as a fascist?
Hey, don't say that, otherwise we'll get canceled.
Just pointing it out. not trying
yeah,
to
but you're
not
not
trying
allowed to point it out.
not trying to step on anybody's toes or anything. But there's a whole political party in this country called the Democrats that are doing that very thing.
Oh
Sound
God!
familiar?
Now we're gonna get canceled.
just pointing it out. Would you like to go to Twitter? We can...
Harris, don't lock me up, please. Like infinitely, like you did with the black people in California. Don't do it, please. I am a pretty man, and I don't think I would do well in jail.
Bash is now filling up his bathtub with water and a few ounces of bleach. Look, I'm white. I'm one of you. I'm not orange. Anyway, the real reason that Trump was telling people to inject bleach in them.
Like, I mean, okay, so we got that in Venezuela. We got Mr. Afuera in Argentina. And we got in Mexico the bloodiest possible election to ever be in history.
Yeah, well, there's more. Massive blackouts, Royal Cuba. Power outages totaling 14 hours or more per day. In other words, most of the day, you don't get electricity.
14 hours.
Yeah, they're probably during the daylight hours, where you need AC. Not that they probably have AC down there anyway. All right, we're reported Thursday across much of crisis-wracked Cuba. I thought Cuba was a freaking economic freaking wonder zone, leaving millions of residents defenseless in summer heat and humidity. The state-run power company said the breakdowns had forced 6 plants offline on the outdated and poorly maintained grid. The monopoly provider promised only minor relief for a weekend, with humidity forecasts around 90% and humidity is up to 35 degrees, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. On Thursday evening, there was no power in the Montas province just east of Havana, except for at the famed Vardero Tourism Resort and key installations such as hospitals. Yeah, that key installation called the Resort.
Well, yeah. I mean, they didn't want the tourists to suffer. God forbid the tourists suffer.
Now, let me ask you a question. Doesn't this seem a little kind of like what the Cuban people that they all these communists were talking about when
I think this is what.
when they overthrew Batista and so forth, and they said this was justified because of how Batista was acting. Do you see any
I
difference
mean,
here?
I think this is. I think this is what happens whenever you get socialism.
Yep. And then you have this. Follow-on story. Lawmakers condemn the arrival of a communist Cubist party leader, or a Cuban Communist Party leader, should we? All right, who comes to live in Miami. Republican members of the Florida congressional delegation have complained to the Biden administration that a former high-ranking communist official from Cuba recently immigrated to the United States through the Miami International Airport. We are outraged that an individual with the role of suppressing the Cuban people for decades was permitted the extraordinary privilege of U.S. entry so that he could spend his retirement in freedom and comfort. The lawmakers said
I
in a.
mean,
Go ahead.
that sounds vaguely similar to a certain American party.
All
I
right.
don't understand why they're complaining to them.
In a letter to the
That'd
Department
be
of.
like that'd be like me going to the gay like that would be like me going to the gay bouncer inside of a gay club and being like, "Hey, there's a lot of guys hitting on me."
Well, you probably get hit on again, one way or the other. Anyway, possibly in multiple ways from multiple fronts. Anyway, um, August 21st note, spearheaded by Representative Mario Diaz-Balart of Miami, says Manuel Mendoza Castellanos, all right, flew, and I'm probably butchered that name, flew into MIA last week. The lawmakers urged the two Biden administration cabinet officials to investigate the circumstances of Menendez's entry and pointed to federal laws that generally bar members of foreign totalitarian or communist parties from immigrating to the United States. Marty Noticias, part of the government-run U.S. Agency for Global Media, first reported Menendez's arrival in Miami. We request that you assess whether the law was being followed in this case. Okay. Now, I know nothing about this guy. All right. But can you think of a reason why they would let him in that's actually legitimate? Vash?
um, say that again. I'm gonna turn your volume up a little bit.
Can you think of a reason that allowing this guy in to the country, that there's a legitimate reason for allowing him to settle into this country?
Well, I mean, his leadership roles clearly.
A legitimate reason, not a communist reason.
Oh, a legitimate reason.
Yes, yes.
Uh, huh. Money?
That's not a legitimate reason either.
Oh,
It's a more like it is a more likely reason.
um, uh, he's friends with the current party. No, wait, that's not legitimate either. Um, he, he's a role now.
He's a what?
Uh, he's a role model for their system. No, no. Oh God, help me out here, Matt. Uh, I'm really reaching and I'm trying, but I
There's actually a very possible reason. We won't know, but it's very possible that he was an agent, an intelligence agent for us.
Oh, he was a part of the CIA. That would be a legitimate reason.
He's a swell guy. Just pointing it out, folks.
I mean, the CIA uses people all over the globe.
No. We would never do something like that. Come on. Let's talk about another haven of economic growth and prosperity. Hong Kong floods city with tourist events in bid to revive economy. Huh?
I mean, it can't revive the economy if no one wants to go to Hong Kong.
In a bid to revive its struggling economy, the Hong Kong government has turned its focus on hosting large-scale events to attract tourists, with over 100 mega events being held in the latter half of the year. Does this encourage you to go to Hong Kong?
Okay, Jackie Chan barely encouraged me to go to Hong Kong. The Jean-Claude Van Damme movies even barely encouraged me to go to Hong Kong. And then I saw what they were in Hong Kong, and I was like, no.
You're going to tell me Doctor Strange didn't do it for you?
The first or second one?
Either one. It doesn't matter.
I mean, the first one was good. The second one only had 5 minutes that were good, and that was Doctor Strange fighting himself.
The strategy comes as the semi-autonomous region of China continues to grapple with the continued effects of a real estate downturn and fallout from its crackdown on pro-democracy activists that has taken its toll on its reputation. I don't think the real estate downturn was an issue. Okay? I'm going to be real blunt. Hong Kong is so freaking crowded, I don't think a real estate downturn is even possible.
I mean,
to even make that statement is just floors me.
I think that they should just listen to their youth a little bit more, maybe, and I don't know. Stop fucking forcing people to only have one child.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, all right? To counter this, the Hong Kong government is banking on high-profile events and performances by international stars to bring back crowds and spending to the former British colony. In February, the government announced it would allocate 1.1 billion Hong Kong dollars. I mean, whatever that is, 140 million to boost tourism, with the Hong Kong Tourism Board hosting regular fireworks displays and drone shows, as well as promoting events such as city walks and hiking. One recent success was the Doraemon exhibit that was held in the city's K11 Muesa shopping center, which was continually sold out and went on an extended run due to overwhelming demand. Who went to this? Maybe some Japanese folks, I guess. I don't know. Maybe some people from Taiwan.
I don't think the Japanese have a very good relationship with China.
It's not as negative with Hong Kong as it is with obviously Korea. I can tell you that. The event was held.
I mean, yeah.
The event was held for about a month, mid-August, and saw a record high single-day footfall, excuse me, of the year at the shopping mall, with organizers' confidence that they had a positive impact on the local economy. If you've got to put $140 million into tourism, really? I mean,
well, hold on, MC. $140 million in tourism for hiking, which is fucking free, and long walks, which is also fucking free. Like, what did they spend it on again?
I just, well, international stars were coming in there apparently, so, and so forth.
Like who? Did they mention that?
No, they didn't. So
Hmm.
more stuff from.
I wonder why they didn't.
From Britain here. Hippie thugs have invaded our village. The Glastonbury locals say yobs line beautiful country lanes with rusting caravans, defecate outside their homes, and dance around naked.
They were also quoting, going, "You want a piece of me, man?"
For 5 heady summer days a year, it is a mecca for the greatest bands on the planet. Is it? Didn't know that. Right? But the rest of the year, Glastonbury is now being terrorized by hippie thugs who strip off to cavort in front of horrified locals and defecate in public. Angry residents of the Somerset town, made famous by the annual Glastonbury Music Festival, right, which attracts hundreds of thousands of ravers, say they were sick and tired of scores of hippies who spend the rest of the year in ugly caravans lined up in the streets. In horrifying scenes, they even say that their once picturesque home is now plagued with people defecating outside their homes and rolling naked in the fields.
Are you sure that they didn't mistake this place for California? I think they just got lost.
We gotta relive Woodstock, man.
Hey, man, we just got out of Hollywood. Where are we? I took too much ketamine.
They accused the police. They accused the police of ignoring their demands to move them on, and now have given up on the law. Mail Online discovered several dozen grubby, battered caravans occupied by an army of unwashed itinerants around a once tranquil town. Row upon row of wrecked caravans were parked up in and around Glastonbury, to the fury of local residents. I mean, I get it. I actually went to Woodstock '99. Hippie! No, excuse me, Matt. You're a hippie wannabe. I mean, what are you going to do with it? I'll be honest with you. With the way that this looks from these pictures, right? Is it just me, or does these things look like they're a fire
I mean, it looks kind of like Arkansas, except like Arkansas has less poo on the streets.
Yeah, people don't really defecate in the streets so much in Arkansas that I've ever seen. I haven't been to Arkansas all that often though.
Oh, we do it behind a bush.
Look at this. This is if this is permanent, this is third world shit, dude. Am I wrong?
I mean, no, man. Just trying to live in love and peace, and whenever you gotta poop, you gotta poop.
Yeah, well, you got to get rid of the poop somehow. Get the flamethrower.
Oh God.
Ravioli a la battery wrap filed in sibling beef.
The fuck? Ravioli.
Yeah. When police arrived at the residence, evidence of the ravioli attack was splattered on the victims, according to the arrest report.
Ravioli attack.
The latest food
Sorry.
attack plaguing the United States from Florida. This is a Florida story.
God
Right?
damn it.
A 21-year-old woman,
Of course it is.
angry that her sister would not share grub she brought home, was arrested on a ravioli battery charge. Cops say that Nakia Davis got mad at her blood-related sister after the victim did not allow the defendant to have any of the food.
You ain't gonna let me have food? Then none of us can.
The myth sister, cops allege, retaliated by throwing a plate of raviolis at her sibling. Well, how was she able to get the plate if she wasn't allowed to have it?
Yeah, I'm confused.
I mean, point it out.
First of all, why use ravioli as a weapon? Second of all, like there's so many other weapons. But second of all, how did they get the ravioli if they weren't allowed to have it? And third,
Davis
the fuck?
reportedly admitted to the ravioli tossing and was witnessed by the victim's boyfriend. Charged with domestic battery, a misdemeanor, Davis spent the night in jail before being released Friday afternoon on her own recognizance. The judge has ordered Davis to have no contact with her sister. The arrest report does not indicate what kind of ravioli it was.
I'm thinking Chef Boyardee.
That does not look like Chef Boyardee in the plate. But then again, who knows what they're actually doing. Okay. World's first lung cancer vaccine trials launched across 7 countries. The first patient in the UK
And we're going to be required for it.
The first patient in the UK gets a dose of jab designed to kill the most common form of lung cancer and stop it from coming back. Doctors have begun trialing the world's first mRNA drug cancer vaccine in patients as experts hailed its groundbreaking potential to save thousands of lives. Lung cancer is the world's leading cause of cancer death, accounting for approximately 1.8 million deaths every year. Survival rates in those with advanced forms of the disease where the tumors have spread are particularly poor. That's true of any cancer, by the way. Now experts are testing a new jab that instructs the body to hunt down and kill cancer cells, then prevents them from ever coming back. Known as BNT116, made by BioNTech, right? The vaccine is designed to treat non-small cell lung cancer, or NSCLC, the most common form of the disease. The phase 1 clinical trial, the first human study of BNT116, was launched across 34 sites in 7 countries. All right, the UK, the United States, Germany, Hungary, Poland, Spain, and Turkey. The UK has 6 sites located in England and Wales, with the first UK patient to receive the vaccine having their initial dose on Tuesday. Overall, approximately 130 patients from early stages before surgery or radiotherapy to late stage disease or recurrent cancer will be enrolled to have the jab alongside immunotherapy. About 20 will be from the UK. Um, it's an interesting thing. It'll be if it's successful, and for people suffering
Well, I
from cancer,
mean,
I hope it is.
I can say that just by hearing what you had said, it sounds kind of Pfizer-y to me. I mean, I do have hopes that it is what they're saying it is, but we'll know in 2 years whenever they finally decide. Oh yeah, that was completely hazardous.
We'll know in a few years if it's even moderately successful. Okay. But for those people who don't know, lung cancer is devastating. Right? And the reason is, what do the lungs provide?
Oxygen.
Yes. They provide oxygen to your entire body. And the reason it's so
Now,
dangerous. Oh, go ahead.
I'm a bit curious though. Like, so there's multiple causes for lung cancer, yeah?
Yes, there are.
Like there's genetic causes, and then there are, like if you're smoking 200 packs of red Pall Mall, which I have the conspiracy theory that if you smoke Pall Mall, you will get lung cancer. Um, I, I don't make the rules, I just abide by them. But I feel that in that regard that while it might help with the genetic or like inherited lung cancer, I don't believe it will help if you're just sitting there smoking like 3 cartons a day.
Well, okay. If this is what they say, if the potential holds true, okay, it will actually help that, right? Um,
Hmm.
I have very little doubt that it would actually help that, if this holds true and it does do what it is. And the reason for that is what triggers cancer. Yes, there's many triggers of cancer. Okay, the but once the cancer is triggered, it has certain. It doesn't change. Okay, I mean it doesn't change from its form. So when they're saying it's this type of cancer, right? It's because that's where the genetic line has broken and started to replicate itself. All right, within the DNA, and this is very potentially this is a very good thing. Right, the reason lung cancer is so dangerous is because it is an integral part of the cardiopulmonary system. All right. In other words, cancer, when it gets spread throughout the body, is spread either through the pulmonary system or it's spread through the the cardio system, through the blood supply. Okay. Well, when you deal with the lungs, it has access to both. This is why the spread of lung cancer is so damn difficult to prevent. All right. And once it gets into other parts of the body and invades other tissue, all right, it retains the hardiness of your lungs. Your lungs are actually a very hardy tissue, just like your skin is. This is why when it metastasizes, skin skin cancer is relatively easy to cure, or when it's on the surface. But if it metastasizes internally, it's very difficult for the patients. Your survival rates go way down as a result. So I'm hoping for the best on this. It is another RMNA treatment. Okay. So I am kind of curious about that, but I'm hoping for the best. Maybe there'll be good results from this. Um, it would. It looks like they're probably going to have to use multiple lines of therapy with it, but we'll see. Good luck to the people who are taking this. I hope the trial works. There's one more thing though I want to talk about when we talk about trials. Let's say you have a new
Yeah.
drug. Okay. How much of the drug do you give the person to be effective?
I mean, I would think that they would determine the half-life of it before they would be giving it to people.
That's
Or
if
I hope.
it's radioactive. There is also a half life in how long it stays in the body. That's true, but that's not my point. My point is when they're giving you a dose, how much of a dose do you give the person? You don't know. My point is initially you kind of don't know, right? Do I got to increase
Yeah,
the
and I mean,
dose? Do I got to
wasn't
decrease the dose?
human
Go ahead.
Wasn't human experimentation kind of like banned across the world?
Yeah, it is, and this is not human experimentation. I know you're going to be like, yes, it is. This is with the person's, you know, this is a trial where people are saying, yes, I would like to be part of this trial. They're given
I
consent.
mean, okay, they're volunteering to be an experiment, but it it still sort of is.
Well, I mean, anytime you give the person something new, it's going to be an experiment of some sort, right? Human now,
I mean,
if they had given people constantly given people like, because this is 116 of this product, right? So if they did it one, human two, human three, human four, trying to see whether or not it would work. Okay, that's human experimentation. Just going, I wonder what this will do to the person. That's human experimentation. This, they're expecting a result from something, and they're not seeing what happens to the human body when they do it necessarily. So if that makes sense.
um, yeah, like I,
Oh, what?
while I assume negative things on just about anything, I do actually hope that it is a cure and it isn't what my brain's trying to tell me what it is.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Okay, Tim Walz took nearly $135,000 withdrawal from a 401k like plan type plan for his daughter's college. Was it a mistake?
The answer won't surprise you.
Is it ever okay to dip into your 401k before retirement? The campaign for Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota and Democrat Party's candidate for vice president, confirmed to the Wall Street Journal that Walz made a $135,000 early withdrawal from a 401k type plan last year, but the campaign declined to further comment on his finances. Walz has accumulated pensions as a teacher, a member of the Army National Guard, and an elected official, retirement income not typically available to Americans working in the private sector. However, millions of Americans do not have access to retirement or pension plans. Waltz and his wife Gwen may have been able to afford such a withdrawal, their 401k or equivalent balance, assuming that it that as a public school educators they might have 401(b) plans, which likely totals $1 million based on estimates carried out by the Wall Street Journal. At the early
Wait,
withdrawal,
wait, 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 wait. MC. Can Okay, so they were teachers,
yeah,
yeah?
yeah,
And they got a 401k plan of $1 million.
four
How much
four
is a teacher's salary again?
403(b) plan,
How much was the salary for a teacher again?
50,000 a year,
Huh.
supposedly.
Okay. Carry on.
All right.
I wanted that stated. I wanted that stated. That's all.
The early withdrawal is likely accounted for 10% of their total retirement fund. Okay, let's stop right there. If this is 10%, they're saying there's over $1 million in this. Hold on just a second, Ash.
Can you call my phone?
Yeah, I have to. I've got to help out the wife here for a
Yeah,
second. Just a moment here.
yeah. Gotta get out the calculator.
No, no. Well,
Um,
oh, you're trying to figure out
the
what the math
looking at this math and how much a teacher's salary makes,
is.
it shows it's not fucking possible that they have $1 million in retirement.
uh, I have to question. I do have to question that. Okay. I must admit, I've got to question where the hell they're getting all this money. Because even if
Yeah,
they're taking
exactly.
if they're taking pensions and they're just school teachers and so forth, how did he acquire all this cash? This guy has been a supposed public servant. Him and his wife are just supposed public servants, right?
I mean, he's got one hell of a side hustle.
Exactly.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, it's amazing he's able to afford that. And what's more is but taking out money early from a 401k, which incurs like 10% penalties and things like that, is harming your 401k. But the question is how are you able to do it? Now you can take out loans against your 401k. I don't know if people knew that, but you can. All right, you can take out loans against your 401k type plans, but that doesn't mean you're taking the money out. That means there's money loaned that you have to then pay back over time, right? With interest. Okay, but in this specific case, okay, I've got an issue here. How the hell was he able to sit up there and just get this kind of money? Now that's problem number one that I have with it. Problem number two is $135,000 for your kid's college. Where's she going to school?
Yeah, I was gonna get to that, and I'm glad that you brought that up because what was the salary on a teacher?
50,000.
50,000. Now let's multiply that by two. That's 100,000. Because we'll just say the husband and the wife.
Yeah, and don't
And how
don't
much
forget.
did they give?
Yeah, well, who knows how much they gave because it doesn't say how much they were given.
It said hundred and
That's
thirty-five
how much they
thousand,
got.
right?
Yeah, that's how much they got out of it. Yeah.
So over a year's salary.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like I said, the math isn't mathing.
Right. What's more is and look, I don't begrudge them the fact that they're paying for their child's college. I'm kind of curious where their college their kids going to college that's going to cost $135,000 that you need to take that out right now. All right. Normally, if you're going to do something like this and you have that option, because it looks like he's got this option, wouldn't you take it out in segments every year for the child? That's what I would expect, right?
I think we're thinking about this too hard.
But it still comes down to how does this guy worth so much damn money if all he's ever been is a friggin' public servant? And in addition to that, has had all sorts of lawyers' fees when he was fighting a DUI that he got he got grandfathered down to okay, just reckless driving. You're gonna tell me that
You
this
know,
guy
I'm in
and
the
his
wrong
wife
line of
were.
business.
You're gonna tell me that this guy was, and then was he still able to keep his job as a school teacher, his job, his rank in the National Guard, and so forth. Just pointing this out, folks.
Also, his rank in the National Guard being that he had to go to combat in order to get the rank that he attained whenever he never went to combat,
Yeah, well, he's we know. I'm
which
not.
is
It's
which
a
is
stolen
stolen
valor. It
valor,
is
and I'm
well.
wondering why that isn't being brought up.
It's stolen valor when he said that he was walking around with, in a war and weapons he carried in war. When he said, "I carried weapons in war," no, you did not. You were never in a
Well,
combat zone.
also the rank that he claimed. The rank that he claimed
Well,
is one that is attained through going.
no. The reason he did not get the command sergeant major um, is because he did not take. There are certain required courses that you have to take once you make a certain thing and you're put on the promotion list. All right, to actually be awarded that rank. All right, you have to go through those schools, and he didn't go through those schools. All right, now he was in the position, however, so that's why he's saying since he was in the position, he was saying he was a command sergeant major, right? Which he never was. All right. And stolen valor, that part of it, I'm willing to go to kind of shrug a little bit. But when you say that you carried weapons in war, I'm not shrugging over that. You didn't. You didn't. You were never in a combat zone. You were never in a combat zone. You did not receive combat pay. You were not carrying weapons in war, right? Which is even worse because as a command sergeant major or someone of that high rank, the weapon you're carrying in war is going to be a sidearm or a pistol. So, are you saying that you want to ban all pistols? Nobody even
I mean,
asked that
honestly,
question.
that would be a lot more effective than banning the rifles.
No, it wouldn't. I mean, no more effective than banning the rifle. People still be killing each other. You want to go back to the first story? Oh, you weren't here when I did the story on Germany with the knife attack.
Well, I mean, yeah, like whenever you take out guns, stabbings go up.
Okay.
It's weird how that works. It's almost like humans are violent.
RFK Jr., environmental warrior. This is a hit piece in case you haven't wondered from the Washington Post. Backs drill baby drill ticket. As he suspended his independent presidential campaign and endorsed Donald Trump on Friday, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. talked at length about many key issues on which he claims that he and Trump are aligned. What he did not explain were the profound disagreements in areas that, for many years, was central to Kennedy's career and public image: environmental protection. Kennedy promised to be the best environmental president in the American history. For decades, as an attorney and a celebrity activist, he urged more vigorous enforcement of federal regulations guaranteeing clean air and water. Now he joins a campaign whose policies, according to critics, could scale back those regulations and weaken the agencies that hold them. Hell, those agencies that sit up there and have been doing that, like the EPA, should be banned right now, as far as I'm concerned. They should be cut out of existence because they're not serving any real useful purpose. Do we have
Now they are serving a purpose, but they did not say that it was useful.
And the thing is that these people keep talking about this as if, okay, well, you got all these regulations and so forth, and we need more. Why? Where's the need for them? Well, look at the environmental damage for like Superfund sites and things like that. Okay, so you're cleaning up the Superfund sites. Is that what you're spending all your money on? Well, no, that's not where most of the money. Most of it is going somewhere else. Well, then what the hell are you doing? What are you spending this money on? The EPA gets billions of dollars a year. What is it spending its money on? Who gets that money that the EPA gets? Does the groups that are cleaning up sites get that money, or does the vast majority of that money go to freaking lawyers for lawsuits that they are launching? Got a little bit of feedback there, Bash.
Well, I mean, you see, the reason why they need that money is because they'll need the solid gold wheelbarrows to carry the money, so that way they can have money fights. Because everybody needs a wheelbarrow full of money to have the money fight. It's kind of like doing water balloon wars.
Okay. Okay, time for a story that has absolutely nothing to do with anything else. And a story in an area that I don't normally do. ESPN's Field Yates dislocates shoulder in beach tackling drill to determine fantasy football draft order.
What?
Fantasy football became more like a nightmare football for ESPN Field Yates. The media personality specializing in fantasy football analysis was hospitalized with a dislocated shoulder after he was injured running, leaping, and driving his shoulder to tackle an inflatable quarterback in a competition to determine the draft order for his fantasy football league, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. He gets injured. Oh!
I'm just so confused.
Huh? Yeah, it did hurt.
A guy.
Can you play that clip again? I want to see that again.
All the way through the tackle. Yeah!
Okay, here he goes, and he hits it. He flips over.
Huh?
Yeah, I see exactly where he got that dislocation.
All right, is this news?
Like it was on the rollover there.
Is this news? I'm serious.
I think this is a. I think this is a smokescreen.
I mean, I hate to say that. It's funny. Okay, and I feel for the guy. Look, I understand this. And here's the first question I got. Okay, so you were trying to tackle the inflatable quarterback. How are you scoring this? Right? How do you win the tackle on an inflatable dummy?
That's like trying to beat the hit me clown. Like it's physically not going to be knocked down. Stop trying.
Yeah. Let's oh, I'm not gonna do this story. Let's do this one instead.
Holy shit! Oh, okay.
Judge reduces charges against former cops in Louisville raid that killed Breonna Taylor. A federal judge has lessened the charges against two former Louisville Metro police officers accused of falsifying information to secure a warrant for the botched 2020 raid that killed Breonna Taylor, a 26-year-old black woman whose death sparked national outcry over police brutality. On August 2022, the Justice Department charged the pair in connection with preparing and approving a search warrant affidavit tied to a narcotics investigation that allegedly contained false and misleading statements, omitted key facts, and was not supported by probable cause. The district's senior judge, Charles Simpson III, dismissed felony deprivation of rights under the color of law changes, right, against the detective Joshua James and former Sergeant Kyle Meany in an order on Tuesday. While the original indictment stated the offense involved the use of a dangerous weapon and resulted in Taylor's death, which could have bumped up the potential penalty to life in prison, Simpson ruled that part of the indictment be stricken. Now, if convicted in court, Meany and James face no more than a year in prison. It'll be a life sentence, don't worry. they're cops going to prison.
Yeah, they're not they're gonna have a lot of friends. I'll just say that.
All right. Based on the fact allegations and government's arguments, the court finds that the warrantless entry was not the actual cause of Taylor's death. Simpson wrote in a 33-page order filed in the district court for the Western District of Kentucky. The judge instead put the onus on Kenneth Walker, Taylor's boyfriend, for firing his gun first. Walker's attorney said he shot once in an act of self-defense, believing that the home was being broken into because police didn't announce themselves. Officers fired 32 rounds in response, with several hitting
Holy
Taylor.
fuck!
What?
36 rounds in response.
32 rounds.
Oh, 32 rounds in response. Either way, that's a bit excessive for just one round.
Really? You put 4 people in a room like that? How many rounds do you think are going to go off?
Okay, so we got 2 cops.
No, you have more than 2.
36 rounds.
There's only 2 that were charged.
Okay. All right. I was about to say one of those guys had to reload.
Exactly. No. Well, yes, they would have had to reload if a full 32 shots were fired from just 2 guns. But it wasn't just 2 guns. It was multiple. It was like 4 or 5. All right.
Okay. That makes more sense. Sorry.
All right. Law enforcement officers have killed 800...
I was sitting there picturing...
Go ahead.
I was just saying, I was just sitting there picturing like two guys just fucking unloading.
You know, John Wick style.
Yeah, just no. More like RoboCop. But go ahead.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me. Law enforcement officers have killed 857 people so far this year, according to the Mapping Police Violence, a database managed by police reform research and advocacy organization Campaign Zero. The group found black people are nearly 3 times less likely to be killed by police than white people in the United States because they're how many more times likely to commit crimes?
I mean, you
Put it
can't
out
say
there.
that. That's racist, MC.
Okay. James is still charged with conspiring with another detective to cover up the false warrant and of falsifying a document to that was misleading investigators. And these guys should be punished for that. Don't get me wrong. You can't just start taking
Yeah.
the law into your own hands and then sit up there and start falsifying documents, unless, of course, you're falsely accusing Donald Trump of Russia collusion. All right, and you doctor the evidence that you take to the court in the first place, right? Then it's okay. Right, Dems? Because you let that guy go.
Or your Judge Dredd.
Or you're just... Okay. Have you been here?
America's wealthiest gilded.
Look inside the breakers.
Been where?
Look inside the breakers. A 70-room, 138,300 square foot mansion that belonged to one of America's wealthiest Gilded Aged families. During the Gilded Age, Cornelius Vanderbilt was America's richest man with an estimated net worth of 100 million or around 200 billion in today's currency. Having amassed his fortune in railroad business during the period of rapid economic growth and industrialization, he would be wealthier than Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, and Warren Buffett if he were alive today. His grandson, Cornelius Vanderbilt II, succeeded him as the president and chairman of the New York Central Railroad in 1885. As heir to the family fortune, he built a 70-room, 138,300 square foot mansion on the shores of Newport, Rhode Island, as a summer escape for his wife, Alice Vanderbilt, and their 7 children. The seaside residents named the breakers after the waves that break on the Newport rocky shores was one of the many opulent homes that the Vanderbilts owned in America's wealthiest Gilded Age family. It is now a museum that's open to the public. Have you been here?
No, but that means that they have 10 rooms per family member.
Here we go. Get rid of these.
Like there are homeless veterans out there. And
well, this is a museum now.
These people I mean, yeah.
And it was 1885. It's a little bit different world back then. For those who don't know, I have actually been here. I've been through this museum before, and it's interesting. Okay, it is a place I would. This is someone wanting to think that they're Europeans. Okay, what American would want a house like this? The heck with the house, the room like this. Would you design a room like this? This was
no.
This was.
I'm a minimalist kind of guy.
Yeah, so am I. You know, in a lot of ways, I would never design this kind of stuff. When they talk about opulence, this is opulence. All right, this is, and to me, it's crass. Right now, the real thing of breakers, right, is when you step outside and go to the shoreline. Okay, and the reason for that is the waves just coming in, but the shores, the way the rocks are on the shores, when the waves come in over the rocks, as the wave then goes back out and recedes, you get this, which is why they call it breakers. It sounds like a thunderstorm breaking there, and it was constant,
Hmm.
right? And it shocked me because I didn't think that small little rocks would cause that kind of noise, but it does. It really does. It's well named in that regard, which makes me go, why the hell would you live next to a freaking place like this? Would drive me crazy. But it is a beautiful
Yeah,
museum.
you want to hear static all the time?
It's exactly what it sounds like.
Like, could you imagine somebody living there, like one of the family members just happening to have tinnitus and not the ringing one?
It would be
Like,
it would be horrific.
they would never know.
Now, who are the Vanderbilts today? Do you know somebody that's related to the Vanderbilts today?
Not offhand.
There is somebody that's very well known that you don't most people don't realize.
Hmm.
He's on CNN. And Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, still. Wow.
Anderson Cooper is related to the Vanderbilts, and that's where he that it was their money, basically that money that allowed him to get a high one of the Ivy League school degrees. That's why he was able to go to attend the Ivy League. Just so you know.
That's actually, yeah, I didn't know that.
James,
I am educated now.
they put it there so that they could cover up the screen. Well, I can't deny that that's not a possibility. Two stories left. Two stories. First, we have this. This is a sad story. Oscar the Dachshund is dead. The dog was struck Sunday night by a car after running from its Snellville, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right, Georgia home. The accident, police reported, occurred after the pet's owners doused the animal with LSD. Now, can somebody explain to me if you're doing drugs while you're giving it to your dog? I mean, what kind of deranged people? Not great people. They're
Dogs
high on
live a
LSD.
stressful life, MC.
Oh, you think
that dog was very stressed out?
And so you think that they gave it to de-stress the dog? We're going to give it a hallucinogenic. This will work.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Some sick people out there. No shit. Nicholas Moldrich and Jamie Hughes, both 25, were investigated for disorderly conduct after cops discovered them tripping in their Pinehurst Road residence. Witnesses had called 911 to report spotting the couple running naked on a nearby roadway. During questioning by police, go ahead.
Okay. Just I have to go ahead and say this. If you're going, okay, first of all, don't do drugs, kids. But if you're going to do them in a controlled environment. And being on a street is not a controlled environment.
Hughes said that she and Morick had done acid earlier. She repeatedly asked officers if they knew the whereabouts of Oscar, their long-haired Dachshund. While being transported to the hospital, the duo told the Snellville cop that they had given acid to their dog. The dog, cops subsequently learned, was struck by a car about half a mile from its home. Oscar, who'd been adopted from the county's animal shelter died after being transported to the local animal hospital. Since the animal had bit two people after being hit by the car, animal control officers will now test the animal's corpse for rabies.
No, I
Oh,
think it was
God.
tripping balls and in extreme pain, so it was attacking anything that was near it.
Yeah, of course. Makes complete sense. Uh, the dogs, uh, the police who are seeking an interview with Monique and Hughes about the bizarre events on Sunday evening, have said that the filing of animal cruelty charges against the couple is a possibility. What do you mean a possibility? You haven't done it yet? What the hell's wrong with you people? Mordrich is a guitar who fronts the group Fungi Trio, the band whose name appears to be a play on the word fungi, right? Lessens its sound, or likens its sound rather, to the inside of a mushroom that has been consumed by you. Yeah. Okay.
I'll just go ahead and say this again. Don't do drugs, kids.
These people are. Some people can't be helped. But it's a surprise because it wasn't Florida.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious as to how they got in the middle of the street butt naked. Like, I get acid is one of those things where, like,
Did you see the
like
size of that
you'll look
chicken?
away from the guy that's tripping, and then you look back, and somehow their clothes are gone, and they're somewhere in like 30 feet away. Like, but I don't know.
Yeah. It's a sad story. The poor dog, because the dog wasn't harming anybody. Next thing you know, it you laced its mind with a drug that causes all sorts of paranoid thoughts and so forth, right? And who knows what this poor dog saw in its final moments? For all it knows, wasn't hit by a car; it was hit by a freaking pterodactyl. Final story: 3 bison escaped from Connecticut farm. 4 bison return.
Huh.
It's a bison collection agency. The owner of
No,
a
no, no, no. They went out to retrieve their friend.
the owner of a Connecticut farm said 3 bison that escaped earlier this week came back on their own with a 4th bison in tow. Amanda Maresca, whose family owns the 3B Ranch in North Branford, said 3 bison escaped by knocking over a section of wired fence on Sunday. They're really good at that. All right, bison are tough animals. I want you to understand it. Barbed wire isn't much of a threat to a bison. Okay.
Yeah, that's like using barbed wire. Like, okay, barbed wire can't even fucking stop meat cattle.
Well, they do a good job of
Like,
keeping them contained generally, all right. But they have been reinforced with electricity nowadays. That's true.
yeah, that being said, bison are like double one of those.
Their hide is very thick. All 3 animals returned to the farm on Tuesday night. She said the returning bovines were accompanied by their newborn baby bison. What we've been kind of saying is that the bison went on maternity leave. The Guilford Police Department hailed the return of the missing bison in a Facebook post. The Fluffinators, these Fluffinators had an eventful a few eventful days out, meeting and greeting with locals, learning about the rules of the road. Everybody knows that Buffalo have the right of way in every intersection now. And finally, they decided it was time to take a nap in the comforts of their own pasture. Marceska said she is hoping to involve the public in choosing the name for the baby bison. It's a cool story. You got to get a credit for that. I mean, it's nice that
That was wholesome.
I mean, they go out. It comes back with an extra bison in tow. But just so people understand this, bison are not domesticated. even in these kind of ranch things like this, they're not a domesticated animal. They're still a wild animal. They're not something you need to be. Oh, look! I want to take a picture with a bike. You're gonna be a road patty. Okay.
Well, I mean, they were going to their leader, M. Bison, and that was who was delivering the baby.
They had to meet the stork. The stork got lost. A little bit too much line. It just dropped off at Dotson earlier in the day. Thought it was got a little extra spray. So they had to go get. They had to go
They
find.
partied with the dachshund.
It was partying with the dachshund. People didn't know that storks look for dachshunds to hang out with. Anyway, that's all the stories I got.
Well, I
for this
mean,
week.
I'll give you one joke that's relevant.
Uh-oh.
Why did the hippie drown?
I don't know.
He was too far out, man.
Oh. And on that note, folks, we're going to go ahead and end the stream. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Appreciate you all coming. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.